take a recording of this one. Okay, let's get started for day 3. So yesterday we have discussed what is VPC. How we'll create a VPC and what is the VPC architecture, how we create subnets, then how we create internet gateway, then how we partition the subnets, then creating a root tables and creating a sample security groups. So this we have seen. And so let me show you one VPC diagram today. So this is sample VPC diagram. So if we correlate to the yesterday's VPC diagram which we created, so here we have 4 subnets. Okay, subnet 1, subnet 2, 3, and 4. So this subnet two subnets are created in US East 1C, and 2 subnets are created in US East 1B. So we also created internet gateway, and we have seen the public internet, right? So the only component what we cannot see in AWS is router. So this router will be managed by AWS, so we cannot see physically. Okay. So this router, we are creating a route table and we are assigning the routes. So that we will see how to do it today. So if you go to the lab.
Harish, one doubt. Subnet we have to create, is it mandatory? I think a minimum of 1 subnet we need to create.
Yeah, so at least 1 subnet you need to create under VPC to launch a EC2 instance. So because when you're launching an EC2 instance, right? So you need to select a subnet. So you will say after today's session, you will get a brief idea like why we are creating a VPC, why you are organizing subnets in different availability zones, and how it is helping when we are creating the EC2 servers. So
all right.
Today's session would be like so what we'll do is we will launch EC2 server in different subnets. So because we have created this setup in this lab, so we need to test this lab, right? To test this lab, we need to create EC2 instance in different subnets. So before creating EC2 instance, you need to know how to do secure shell, because I'm giving training from Windows Mission. So to log in from Windows Mission to the Linux server, right? What we are going to create now. So you need a secure shell client. So we will see what is secure shell client and how to connect from Windows server to the Linux. So we have different tools. So putty or putty, they call like this. So I call this as putty tool. So we will see how to configure putty tool in our machine, and we will also discuss what is key pairs, why we use key pairs. So key pairs is nothing but the authentication system in order to log into this EC2 Linux machines. Okay, so this is our main agenda for today. So if time permits, we will discuss on egress only internet gateways. So this is today's agenda. So if you see yesterday, so we have created a VPC, August 1st VPC in Ohio region. So if you go to our lab here, so this is the August 1st VPC. So we have created under Ohio region. So this VPC range is 10.1.0 of 16. So this is the VPC range. So then we created 3 subnets in 3 different availability zones, in zone A and in zone B and in zone C. So these are the 3 subnets. Let me filter with August. So subnet 1, which is you can see the availability zone here, availability zone 1, and subnet 2, which is created in availability zone 2, and subnet 3, which is created in availability zone 3. So the VPC creation is done, the subnet creation is done. The next one is we have created internet gateway. So if you go here, so this is your internet gateway. So if you just create internet gateway, it's no use, guys. You need to attach this internet gateway. So what we have done, we already attached the internet gateway to our VPC. So this is our August 1st VPC. Means, so technical what we have done, first we have created this internet gateway, then we have attached this VPC, this internet gateway to this particular VPC, which means any traffic from external internet, this gateway will be redirecting to this VPC, and from this VPC, if any servers are requesting for traffic, it will redirect from this internet gateway to external world. So that is internet gateway. Then we have seen sample security groups. So these August for security groups. So as I told, we have a different session on security groups. I have not explained in detail how inbound rules can and outbound rules can be controlled. So we just allowed all the traffic from inside, and we just allowed all the traffic from outside. So just keep these terminologies, guys, like security groups and VPC subnets and route tables also we have discussed. So we have created one August 1st route main table. So what we have done after creating route table, you are telling these routes will be used for all these three, all the subnets, subnet 1, subnet 2, subnet 3, and we have done routing here. So if you see here 10.1.0 of 16, so this is local route or private routes. Or if you want to go for external traffic, you need to redirect with internet gateway with a 000 of a destination. In network terminology, they call source and destination. Source is nothing but the traffic which we are going to send, the sender. Destination is the one who is going to receive the traffic. So for example, if you see this diagram, here also they have started with 10.92. So if you see here, any subnet is started with 10.92, which is private traffic. Let's say if this EC2 instance want to communicate with this EC2 instance, it will use the local traffic. So 10.1.0 of 16, right? In this case 10.92, then it doesn't matter which subnet it is, because it is local traffic. It will go directly like this, it will go to the router and it will come back. But just remember one thing, guys, this router you cannot physically see in AWS. This AWS will be maintained internally. Okay, suppose if you want to communicate external, right? So it will come here from this EC2 instance, it will go to the router, then it will approach internet gateway, then it will go to the public internet, then it will check for whatever the Google or you are referring. From there, the response will come, the router will be redirecting to this EC2 instance. If any internal communication between private systems from one EC2 mission to another private EC2 mission, the router will not send any traffic to internet gateway. It will directly redirect the internal private redirection. So in a high level, this is what we have done. So these 5 steps of the lab we have completed. So before launching an EC2 instance, so today we'll be launching EC2 server. One server we will launch in subnet 1, and one server will launch in subnet 2, and one we will launch in subnet 3 as well. So let us see whether this both can communicate, and this both can communicate, or this both can communicate, or all the three can be communicated with external internet. So that's what we are going to test. But before launching EC2 instance, you need to understand key pairs. So key pairs is something not AWS topic. It is a Linux authentication techniques. So it is a topic which is related to Linux. So I will give overview of what are the symmetric and asymmetric encryption methods, and we will see how to create key pairs in AWS, and using the Putty tool, how to connect to Linux machines. So this is what we are going to cover in today's session. Queries, questions before we go further?
No, Rish. All, all good.
Nothing much, Harish, from my end. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. So if you are if you're not clear in any of the topic like internet gateway or route table, so you just keep your doubts as it is for this session or end of till tomorrow session. You will clearly understand all these jargon terminologies. So how to use this, why we are creating all this in everyday's AWS, like either it may be a developer or a sysops or a architect. You will be not creating VPC or subnets every day. This is a one-time setup what an organization will do. So, but since you are preparing for architect certificate, right, you must understand the fundamentals. That's the reason I'm describing everything in detail. So after creating a couple of EC2 instances, so you will understand how this setup has been organized, and also I will give overview in a hierarchical manner. Yeah. So now let us see. There are two authentication types of authentication types. Let me open Paint. Yeah. So one is symmetric method. The other one is asymmetric method. See, if you see earlier, we were able to log into Linux servers, right, using the username and password. But if in the recent days, no one will prefer to use username and password. Everyone will have a key pair, and they will use the key pair to log into the EC2 mission. So why all this is because in SSH, say for example, when you do SSH is nothing but secure shell. Secure shell, and this is used to remote access of servers. So this is something like cryptographic network protocol. See, protocol is nothing but set of rules that we know everyone. So then what is cryptographic? So it is something like encryption. So you are using some set of rules and performing encryption in order to communicate inside a network. So that is what cryptographic network protocol with a SSH will do. So now here there are two types of authentication techniques, right, as I told. So one is symmetric method. So in symmetric method, what exactly happens is, so you will be, let's say, uh, you have A here and you have B. Let's say if A want to send a message to B, so A want to send a message to B. So they use some algorithm here. So it might be any algorithm like RSA or whatever. There are some standard set of algorithms. They'll use some algorithms. So say for example, the message is like ABC. So this is the actual message what A want to send to B. Okay. So this ABC will be converted into XYZ. Okay. So how they convert is they use some algorithm. So they may be reversing algorithm, whatever it is. So it will be XYZ, and this XYZ will be transferred from A to B in the network channel. So let us assume this as network channel. When you are transferring ABC, this message will be converted into XYZ while in the during the network transfer. Now when B want to send the response, they will send the response. So B want to decode this one, right? So B will get a message like XYZ. So now B will also have the same algorithm what A is using. When they decode, then they will get the actual ABC value. Clear? So I'll repeat this again. So if A want to send a message to B, let's say let's assume the message is ABC. This will be encrypted like XYZ using some algorithm. Don't worry what algorithm they use and all. Now, during the network channel, the actual message ABC will be in a different form, like say for example, XYZ. So this XYZ will be received by B and B will convert that XYZ to ABC. Clear? So now, suppose if B want to send some response, say B want to send DEF. So this DEF will be converted into, say, let's say WXY during the network channel transmission. So when A will decode the message, A will get WXY, but since A also have the same algorithm, when it decode, it will be DEF. This is what a symmetric method was happening. So in symmetric method, they will use the same algorithm at the time of encryption and also at the time of decryption. So what will happen? So if a hacker want to hack during the network, so he will take up the WXYZ message and he will also use the same algorithm and he will try to decode whatever the information you are getting. So this was the disadvantage in symmetric algorithm. So to overcome this symmetric algorithm method, so this is nothing but username password method, which we were using earlier for authenticating Linux machines. So we have came up with the asymmetric method. So in this asymmetric method, what will happen? So A is there and B is there. Not only B, so let's say A is the sender and receiver might be anyone like B or C or D, anyone. So any system. So here two keys will be created. One is private key. Let me write down here. And one is public key. See, this public key will be shared with anyone. So let's say this is one EC2 instance, this is one EC2 instance, this is one EC2 instance. So we will give this public key to all the EC2 instances. So and the sender will have one private key. So let's say A will have a private key and B, C, D will have public keys. Now how the communication will happen is A can approach anyone, either B or C or D. So B, C, D can send the information to anyone, but only the information will be decoded if they have a valid private key. So this public key and private key will be associated to each other. So let me tell how it works. Like you have a mission here. You will assign this public key to this particular instance. Now A is the one, right? A is the sender. So sender will have this private key. So when you're trying to communicate something between A to this particular any mission, so it might be, see, for all the missions EC2 servers, when you're creating, you will be using a, suppose if you're using single key pair. So key pair is nothing but you will have two values, two keys. Key pair will have two keys. One is private key, one is public key. So you have private key here and you have public key here. This public key will be assigned to the servers. Let's say these are EC2 servers. So this public key will be assigned to B, C, D. And as an end user, like a developer or you are in, system admin, if you want to access to this EC2 server, you need to have this private key. So that is what the asymmetric method is. So he even in asymmetric method, we have some disadvantages. So guess you have lost this private key. So AWS will generate the private key only once. Once you are once you delete you lost this private key, then you cannot log into these server machines. This is the major disadvantage. But if you see the security wise, this is very secure. You can give the public key to any machine, but if you want to decode the information, if you want to decrypt the information, you must and should require your private key. So this private key is not shared with anyone, right? So in the case one, what will happen? the message is common, and if the user who is trying to interrupt the message, if they know what type of algorithm that you are using, they can easily decode your message. But in this case, the message will be given to anyone, but then they must and should require a proper private key in order to decode their messages. Clear here? Questions? Here also
Okay,
you
Harish.
use multiple encryption methods, like RSA, DSA, then ED2. These are some uh, algorithms which are used to encrypt and decrypt the communication. So these are some of the algorithms which are used in asymmetric encryption methods. Now, what we will do is we will create a key pairs. So AWS will allow you to. I will show you within couple of minutes. So we will create one private key and public key. So this public key will be auto assigned to all the EC2 instance. This AWS will take care. So now using this private key, we will use. We need to log into EC2 mission, right? If you are aware, all the Linux servers will provide you an CLI to log in and do our job. CLI is like command line interface, which is similar to command prompt in Windows. Okay, so once you got a EC2 missions, you need to do SSH, secure shell. So we will to do the secure shell, there are some tools. So if you are using Windows, we will use Putty tool. Yeah, or if you're using a Mac or Linux, then you can directly do SSH. Okay, and if you're using Android, you have some Juice SSH. Okay, so like this, there are different clients. Even Windows CP or some different clients will be used for Windows as well. But Putty is the very familiar one, which everyone are using now. It's a lightweight client. Now let us see how to create key pairs first, then we will see how to download Putty and use it. Okay, so key pairs is not a concept in VPC, it is a concept in EC2, and we will see how to check that in EC2 mission. Let's go to services. Either you can directly click on EC2 here, or you can search your EC2 instance. So if you see under EC2, we have key pairs here. So click on the key pairs. So click on create key pair. You can give a name. Let me name this as August 1st key pair. See here you have two options, guys. One is PEM file and you have PPK file. So you always download PEM file for your safety. Suppose if you lost this PEM file, sometimes when you do SSH, right, some Linux to Linux, you will be not able to log in with PPK. You need a PEM file when you do Linux to Linux communication. Let me show this. Let's say you have Windows mission here, and you have your Linux mission. And let's say Linux mission, you have Linux mission, Mac mission, and Linux mission. So this is Windows mission, this Mac, this Linux. Usually most of the servers will be in Linux only, guys. So I am just considering Linux. I will show you how to connect to Windows. Windows, it's simple. It is like remote accessing, like MSTS is the client. Okay. So let's assume now I am using this Windows mission to give the demo, right? So if I want to connect from Windows mission to a EC2 Linux mission, I need to use SSH Putty here. But what is the key I need to use? So if you go and see here, you have two options. One is PEM file and the other one is putty file. PPK is nothing but putty file. Putty private key. So I need putty private key. But as I told, right, if you are downloading this key pair once, the key pair will be downloaded only once. So then you cannot generate the key pair, or you cannot download the key pair again. So you download PEM file. From this PEM, I will tell you how to connect to PPK file. Okay. So now let's assume you want to connect from Mac to Linux. So then you need to use SSH terminal. Terminal is nothing but like your command prompt, who are not aware. So in this terminal, what key you need to use? Here Windows, you need, since you're using putty tool, you need putty private key. But when you're using SSH terminal, you need to use PEM file. So if you see here, PEM is used for open SSH. Similarly, Linux to Linux means you need to have this PEM file. Clear? So by default, it will show you two options. Suppose if you are connecting only through Windows, you can download PPK. So then you can directly use to Windows to Linux. But now in our demo, we will be connecting from Linux to Linux machine as well, right? So that time we would require PEM key. So that's the reason I'm telling you to download always PEM key. From PEM, we can create this PPK using puttygen. So I will show you how to do that. So create a key pair. So once you create a key pair, there is automatic download here, August 1 keypair.pem. Suppose if you have deleted this key pair, it's gone. The instances, EC2 instances which you create with this is a private key. Whatever you are downloading here is a private key. Let me copy this. So this is the private key. This will be unique for you itself. So if you see here, RSA private key, they are using RSA algorithm, and this is your private key. Now, what about the public key which we discussed, right? So this public key will be auto assigned to EC2. I will show you when we are creating EC2 instance. So now you have here your PEM file. So now, because you are logging through Windows Putty machine, right? So you need PPK file. Suppose, for example, if you go to SSH or authentication, if you do browse, go to desktop, August 1. So you cannot see PEM file for the loading because the putty will not recognize PEM file. It needs PPK file only. So what we'll do is we'll convert this PEM file into PPK file. So to convert that, you need a client called putty gen. So how you can download this putty? Just go and type as putty download. So you can download this putty here. Once you install, if you are directly downloading from putty, you will by default you will have putty gen inside this one. Otherwise, you can download putty gen separately as well. This is the client. So you can download either 32 or 64 bit as per your operating systems. So in my case, I already downloaded and installed here. So if you see here, so I have this putty installer. So once you install, you can see an icon in desktop like this. Okay, so just open that icon. So if this is a putty tool, so here you will be providing the host name or IP address which you are going to connect to any Linux machine. So then under SSH, under authentication, here you are going to give your private key for authentication. Okay. So now we have PEM file. So, but the putty will not recognize PEM because it requires PPK file, right? So how do you convert the PEM to PPK? So use puttygen, open puttygen. Just pay some attention. This is a bit important and tricky as well. So go to the conversions and click on import key. Go to the desktop, go to the August 1st, select the PEM file here. So under conversions, import a key, you are selecting the PEM file. So the key will be loaded. Do not click on generate button, guys. So it's very, very important. Do not click on generate button. So just click on load, and it will ask you to save the file name. So just give as August 1st PPK file. I'll just give the key name, so automatically it can save. Oh shit. Yeah, save the private key here. So if you want to give, you can give a password for this one. So I'm not giving any password. Let it. I'm saying this with empty password. Now I'll save this as August 1st key. So if you go and see here, you got a PPK file, putty private key file. This is the file extension, putty private key. Now the icon is also changed because this putty tool will be able to recognize this file format. So that's the only thing you need to do under putty generator. If you click on generate, so it will generate some different private key. So you don't click on generate. Just after loading from the conversations, after importing the key, just click on save private key, and you can select the location where you want to save. And the key generate should be RSA only. Don't select any other algorithm. Okay. Clear? Any questions here?
Harish, we need not to click on load, right?
Harish, are you speaking?
Sorry guys, I was forced to mute. Okay, so I'll try to regenerate and show it again. So that's why I deleted that PPK file. So understand
Harish,
one thing.
actually, Harish, that importing or load one and same, I think.
Yeah,
Import.
importer load was same, but sometimes what will happen when you try to load, if already previous, since we are logging it for the first time, right, puttigen, no key was there. If you load the key already with previous sessions, then some conflicts will happen. That's why we always go and import the key from conversations. Clear?
All
So
right.
yeah, so from Windows, you are trying to log into Linux. So we are using putty as a client. Okay, so now putty, if you want to recognize your private key, putty will recognize your authentication private key only in PPK format. But what is the format we downloaded from AWS? It is a PEM file. So why we downloaded PEM file instead of even AWS we showed a format to download for PPK file, but why you downloaded only PEM? Because we would require this PEM file to log in from Mac to Linux or Linux to Linux. That time again from PPK we need to generate PEM. So which is a again a tricky task. So that's why let us generate from PEM only the PPK file. Correct? That's the reason we are doing this one. So now if you go for puttigen, go to conversations. Otherwise, you can, as Kiran told, you can directly load from here as well. But always prefer from here, import the key. Select this is the August 1st key pair, right? So this is the PEM file which we downloaded. From this PEM, we need to generate PPK file. Select the PEM. If you want, you can give the password, but I'm giving empty passwords here. Click on private key. So then you just give the name here, August 1st, PPK, sorry, August 1st key, and save it. So if you go and see the folder here, a PPK file is already generated. Clear? Now using this PPK file, and using this putty, we will be logging into our EC2 instances or remote servers, which we are going to create from today. Clear? So this is very important, guys.
Hey, Harish, this is nothing related to AWS, right? Like, this is a normally host servers who all are there, Linux servers, admins and all, normally from the customer side or whoever maintaining those Linux server or whatever server they're maintaining, they are going to provide this, PM file or PPK file earlier, normally on the on-prem, if it is on on-prem also. But the thing is like, for the AWS also, the similar technique we are going to utilize for, to get the PM file or PPK file, correct?
Exactly, Chandan. So this is something. Say, for example, you don't have AWS. Assume you are not working with cloud right now. In your organization, if they provide you an IP address, so let's say they give you an IP address like 23.45.165.76. They tell you this is your Linux server. If you want to connect to your Linux server, this is the sorry. So if you want to connect the Linux server or the IP address of within your organization, you will follow the same format. So this is not something related to AWS. This is something related to Linux terminology, how to authenticate into a properly into a Linux machine. As I told, right, we have two authentication methods. One is asymmetric method and one is symmetric method. So we are using this asymmetric method, which is nothing but a key pair value. Now what AWS is doing is AWS is making your job still easier. So they allow you to download the private key. The public key, whatever you want to assign. Earlier what they were doing, the network engineers will manually log into this machine. They will put this public key inside that machine and they will tell whoever having private key can use this machine. But now when you are creating EC2 instance, AWS will do that job for you. That I will show you in a while, okay? So if you see our today's lab, so we have seen how to install putty, right? So installation of putty is simple, guys. So once you download your exe, right, executable file, just double click and you can go on. I have already installed this one. So let me know if you face any wide issues while doing that. I can help you. So SSH putty client is done, and we have seen key pair Linux authentication. How it works. Let us launch a EC2 server today, and we will see the communication between different subnets. Now, this is the EC2 dashboard. So go to services. You can click on EC2. So I was already in EC2 dashboard. So if you see here, this is the overall dashboard. I will explain about this dashboard, different features and all when we are discussing about EC2. We will have 4 to 5 sessions only for EC2. Okay, to discuss about EC2 instance types, launch templates, spot instances, then Amazon mission images, volumes, snapshots, EBS, security groups. Security groups are same. What we are creating in VPC will be used here, and elastic IPs we'll see. And different, there are around, you need minimum 5 classes, guys, 5 hours to cover all the EC2 topics like load balancers and auto scaling groups. For today, you don't worry about more options in EC2. So let us see very minimal options. Let us discuss which is required. I will show you only those options. If you have any doubts, just hold on till we do the EC2 lab. Okay. Now, so you need to select any one of the instance here. So you will have a different type of operating systems like Amazon you have, then Red Hat you have in Linux, then SUSE Linux you have, then Ubuntu server you have. Even you can see Windows machine. So if you want to have a like proper Windows machine, some customers will prefer to have Windows server instead of Linux because of their application dependency or some other external factors. So AWS will provide Windows machine as well. We will see how to launch this Windows server later. But for this session, I am selecting one Windows server, one Linux server, which is AWS modified one. So click on this select one. So second one is in second step is a choosing an instance type. So this instance type, you have different types of instance, like from T2 Nano 2. So you have various ranges up to I3EN metal. So these are not all about computing, guys. So we will discuss in EC2 what are these instance types and how these instance types are categorized. So normally they are categorized into general purpose, compute organized, GPU, memory optimized, and storage optimized. But for us in a free tier account, T2 micro is free. So it is free for 750 hours. So if you go and see the free to eligibility, 750 hours is free per 1 month. So one mistake what everyone do here is, say when they say 750 hours is free into one mission, right? So if you divide 750 by 24, you will have around 31 days, 31.25 days. This is when you're launching single instance. So normally when what people will do is, so they tell free tier instance is free, right? They launch 3 instances. They launch 3 instances. That time what this will happen, so 31 by 3, it's around 10 hours or 10 plus hours will be changed. After 11th, 10 plus days. After 11th day, they will start charging for your free tier account, because they told free tier account you can use one mission, only one instance for 750 hours, not three missions for 750 hours, right? Total duration is 750. So based on, just keep this in mind. So when you're trying to practice a lab, right, launch 1 or 2 EC2 instances. After the lab, just terminate them. Okay. So next step is configuring the instance. So how many instances you need to launch? Let us launch one instance here. Forgot about all these spot instance options. We will discuss later. Now, if you see the network here, network section, we have a VPC. So here you need to select under which VPC we need to launch this instance. So we have created August 1st VPC, right? So if you see this diagram, so we will be launching AC2 mission here. Okay. So this August 1st VPC we selected. Second one is we need to select the subnet one in zone A. Clear? Select the subnet here. So if you see here, we have 3 subnets which we created yesterday. Now we are selecting subnet one under zone A. Then auto assign public, yes, you need a public IP, because we will be logging from external, right? So from external internet we will be logging to this EC2 mission. So you require a public IP to directly launch, connect with that. So I have enabled that one. And if you see under network interfaces, if you are not filling anything here like auto assign IP, it will only AWS will assign some random IP. So for example, you are creating in the subnet, right? So 10.1.1 is a subnet one. So this name you are not telling. So this name, if you don't tell anything, AWS can give any name here, any number here. Suppose if you want to give a specific IP also, we can do that. I'll show for the next instance, next EC2 instance, how to add. So like that, we can add multiple IP addresses for single mission. I will tell what is the purpose of doing that. So next is add storage. Just skip this one and add tags. I will give the name here. Instance one in subnet one. Okay. So here comes the security group, right? So yesterday we have already created a security group which will allow all the traffic, right? So if you go to already existing security groups, you can see this is the one, August 1st security group which we created yesterday. Select the security group. So if you see here, all traffic, now review and launch. You can see a warning here. So they are telling you have allowed the external access. I mean, the security group has complete external access, which is not safe to have, but still fine because we need to connect from external. So just review on launch, click on launch. So here comes the key pair. Okay. So what we have done, we have already created a key pair in on a key pair area, right? Before coming here. So here you can see list of key pairs which we created. August 1 key pair we have created. So when you are creating this key pair, a public key is assigned to this Linux machine. So we have what key we have? We have the private key, either PM or PPK file with us. So these are our clients. These are the clients, means which we are accessing. These are the servers. So for these servers, what we need to give? So we need to give the public key here. So this public key. So when you select this one, so based on this key, which public key will be assigned to all the EC2 instance by AWS. So this AWS will take care. You no need to worry about that. So if you are selecting August 1st key pair, you need to use August 1st key pair private key here or PM file here. Okay. So click on launch instance. So the instance are getting launched. You can go and click on view. So if you see here, the instance is getting prepared. But if you see here, you can see the public DNS name here. Means this is nothing but your host name. So the host name for my mission is so this is my host name. So similarly, you are launching one instance, right? Linux instance. Further, the host name is this one, and public IP is this one. So you can access this mission with this public IP. And if you see the private IP, right? So let me copy this one. I told you here, we have not selected any particular IP address. So it will only take up any, see this, all these three are common. Why? Because first two are the VPC range. Third one is the subnet range what we have given. So this one, since we have not given anything, so it has picked up 248 IP. So for our next instance, what we will do is, we will give a specific IP for this EC2 server. Like say for example, 10.1.2. Let us say I want 100 as IP. So we can give that in our next EC2 instance. Okay. So this is your private IP, and you can see what security groups has been assigned to this particular instance, under which availability zone we have created under zone A, and which VPC, August 1st VPC, and which subnet we have. So for now, these details are enough. For more details, we will see about monitoring tags and all in our EC2 class. Now the instance is ready. The instance state is running. So what we will do is, if you want to connect to this instance, as we discussed, right, we need to use PuTTY tool. So what is the host name here? The host name is this one. So if you remember, while creating VPC lab, I told you to, after creating VPC, I asked you to enable the DNS host names. Let me show you that option. Yeah. August 1st VPC, when you click here, edit DNS host names, we have enabled this option, right? That is just to visible here. If you are not enabled that option, this would be empty. So that's the reason I asked for you to enable this one. And in the subnets, while creating subnets, I asked you to enable the option for auto assign IP address. So this is for ANZ Bank, so that's fine. Let us select auto assign IP. See, we have enabled here auto assign IPv4 address. That is because to show this one. So if you don't enable both the options after creating your VPC or subnets, right, many people will not see this one. So that's what many students will ask, sir, I have created already the EC2 instance, but I cannot see the public DNS or IPv4. That's why, because we have not modified the settings after creating the subnet and VPC. So just keep this in mind. So now either we need to provide a host name or IP address. So let us copy this host name and provide it here. So we are doing SSH. So select SSH. So now we need to provide the private key for this one, right? So go to SSH, click on authentication. So you will have a browse key. Click on this browse key and go to desktop, August 1st. So this is your PuTTY key. So previously your PuTTY was not recognizing the PM file, right? If you see all files, this is the PM file, this is the PPK file. This PPK we have generated from PuTTY gen. So select, load this PPK file. Okay. Come to the session. See, either you can, the default username will be for AWS will be EC2-user. Okay, default username will be EC2-user. So either you can provide here like this, EC2-user at the rate, then the host name. Clear? Say yes. Yes, you have successfully logged into your EC2 mission. If you see here, the IP address is 10.1.248. So 10.1.248 is your IP address. You are successfully able to log into this particular mission. Now what we'll do, just minimize this mission, launch one more EC2 instance. Now this time we will be launching the EC2 instance in this particular subnet 2. Before that, any queries? Okay. So click on launch instance. Same thing. I will select AWS Amazon Linux free tier account. Select August 1st VPC. Now, while selecting the subnet, I will select the subnet into zone B, which is subnet 2. Subnet 2, the IP range will start from 10.1.2. So this is the subnet range which we are going to start. And yes, let us enable one public IP for this. And as I told, right, now I want 10.1.2.100 as my private IP. I want only this IP. So what you can do is you can specify here 10.1.2.100. Clear? So go to add storage. One thing guys here. So while creating your private IP here, you already selected subnet 2 here. But if you are trying to give, say for example, different subnet range, okay, you will be not able to create that particular range because this is a subnet range. This is a subnet range for this one. If you're trying a different subnet range here or a different VPC range, you will be not able to create your subnet here. Clear? So no 10.1.2.100. Skip the storage, add tags. Now let me say this, the name of this one is. See, these tags are, you can skip out any tags, you no need to provide, but these tags will be very helpful in future if you can give. Let me give as instance to subnet 2. Security group, let us select the same security group. See, we have created only one security group, but we can assign this security group to multiple EC2 instances. Clear? Review and launch and launch. Let us select August 1st key pair launch instance. Okay, the instance has been launched. Go to the instances. It's pending. Let's wait for 1 more minute. So now if you see the private IP, it is 10.1.2.100. Sorry. Both the IPs is same, right? So this is how you can give your own IP in your private subnet. See, you can give the IP whatever you want in a private because this is your VPC, you will have control. But if you go and ask, I want only this particular external IP, means it is not possible. Yeah, you can reserve some static IPs, which is called elastic IPs, but they will give you a random number that IP you can host it for your server. So this public IP will be not in our range because this is managed by someone. So this is your VPC, your own organization. You can create whatever the IP address you want to create here. Clear? Yeah. So now this instance is also getting ready. So let us connect it to this instance. Create a new session. Give the mission name. Select the authentication key. Here also we use same key, August 1st key. Load. Yeah. Okay, I have not provided username, EC2-user. Yeah. So if you see here, now we have launched two instances. One is with 10.1.1 first subnet to 48 mission. One is second subnet 100 mission. So now both the servers we are able to connect from external network to here. So from here I have connected to the first EC2 mission, and for the second EC2 mission I have connected from external network. External network is nothing but me here. It's myself. So this two communication is done. Now let us launch one more mission in subnet 3, and we'll see the communication between all the three. So select Amazon mission here, general purpose. Select the VPC as August 1st VPC, and subnet 3, enable IP, public IP. So now here I will give a specific IP 10.1.3 is the subnet range, and let me give the 100, same IP range 100. Add storage tags, instance 3 in subnet 3. Configure security groups. So I'll select the default security group and launch the instance. Okay. See, initially, if you are new to AWS, right? So see, this VPC, as I told, this one-time activity. Even if you're joining a project which is already AWS implemented, you will be not getting an opportunity to create a VPC, subnets, route tables, internet gateways, or whatever the options which you are going to discuss in next 2-3 days. So what you do is you create a lab, delete the lab, create like this. You do for 3 to 4 times. So if you go and check here, AWS VPC example. So select any one of the image like this. Okay. Let's say this one. So this is one VPC. So VPC peering I have not explained to you. So when you explain VPC peering, we can connect between multiple VPCs. Let me take this is very simple, guys. Only one VPC is there, one subnet is there. Inside the subnet they have some route tables. So let us take which has more than 2 subnets. Yeah. So like this, you can see multiple diagrams. So you have a VPC here. You have one subnet in availability zone A, and in availability zone you have a different subnet, and you have routing between these both, and you have a virtual private gateway or internet gateway. So like this, you will have a different images. Try to create your VPC as per that particular image, and try launching couple of instances. Check whether both the instances are getting communicated or not. This is how you can practice VPC. Just do this lab 3 to 4 times. Just create, delete, create. So then you can, once you are familiar with these concepts, just leave the lab as it is. You no need to create and delete, because as I told, these are not chargeable for AWS. AWS will not charge you anything. They will charge you only for the instances what you have created. Okay. Okay. Now our third instance is also ready. Now let us log into this one. See, if you want to see, every time you, instead of going and selecting authentication, you can save this session. So like click on AWS on load. AWS load. Save this one. So this session will be saved. So you no need to, from next time you can use this session. Yeah. So you have all your missions ready. So one you have in subnet, subnet 1 you have one, subnet 2 you have one, and subnet 3 you have one. So technically what we have done, so we have established our VPC, 3 subnets, internet gateways, the routing between these 3 ones. Now we are testing whether this network is fine or not. So in order to do that, so from external internet, we are able to successfully connect to the three EC2 machines which we created till now. Now we need to communicate whether this subnet is having communication with this is having communication with this, right? So what we can do is either you can ping the instances to each other. Let me say ping. So this is subnet 1. So I want to check whether this mission, right? So this mission IP is 10.1.2.100. So you should have a successful ping. So similarly, try to ping from this mission to your subnet 1 mission. So 10.1.1.248. Clear? And let us ping from system 3 to system 1. Clear? So as per the diagram, the setup, what we have done and launching the missions, EC2 missions. So everything is fine. So how this ping is happening? The ping is happening because of two things. So two configurations, what we have done. One is your root table. Go to your root tables here. Select August 1st root table main. So click on the roots. So if you see here, any communication, so this local communication, right? Whatever we are doing. So you're pinging a local mission of into different subnet. So the traffic, the local traffic is coming from here. And the second thing is the external traffic, which you are trying to log in from your putty. Means I am in a different, right? I'm not into AWS VPC network. I'm into external world. So I'm using this internet gateway in order to connect to this particular mission. So I am here. I'm using this internet gateway, and 0.0.0 address. This is the address. So using this address, I'm connecting to this particular EC2 server missions. Clear? Questions?
Harish,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Harish, what will happen if we ping using public IP?
Yeah, you can do that. Say for example, because we allowed the public, right? You 0.0.0 through internet gateway, you will be able to do that. Now let me go to EC2 instances, select one of this one. So this is the public IP for the EC2 mission, right? So you can go here from mission, select mission 1. Let me stop this. So ping. So this is a public IP for this mission. So just try to ping this one. Clear?
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
So right now, if you see the diagram, so there is no differentiation between public subnet and private subnet. Subnet and private subnet. So because what we have done after creating a root table, if you go to the root tables here, so what we have done in this main root table, we are telling any external traffic redirect through internet gateway. But if you see here, we have associated all the subnets, subnet 1, subnet 2, subnet 3, all the subnets into this particular root table. So all the subnets will be public subnet by default here. Let's say I'll click on edit subnet associations. I'll remove these subnets. I'll select only subnet 1. Okay. Click on save. Now subnet 2 and subnet 3, I have not done any associations, right? So if you are trying to access subnet 2 mission, right? See, already the mission is gone. It's not responding. If you try to restart session, it should give an error because reset, restart. See, network error, software connection aborted. So because now what I have done, so I made only this as public subnet. So now this is not associated to any of the either public or through internet gateway. Nothing is associated because there are no routes. If you are seeing this route, you are telling internal traffic to be considered as local traffic, but external traffic to be considered as internet gateway. But for how many subnets you are telling? You are telling for only one subnet. You have selected only one subnet. The other two subnets you have not selected for this range. Clear? So that is how you can differentiate private and subnet. So any subnet which is connected to internet gateway, any subnet is called public subnet. Any subnet which is not connected to internet gateway and connected to internally to each other. Say for example, this to this, then it is called as private subnet. Now let me reassign these subnets here.
Harish, one doubt here.
Yeah.
Now you made this subnet 2 and 3 are like private, right?
Yeah.
So
See,
if I want
I have not made private. I have just removed from the particular
gateway.
route table.
Yeah, route table.
Yeah.
Like if I want to connect to one of the EC2 instance of subnet 3 via subnet 1, is it possible?
Yeah, it is possible. For that, what you need to do, so you need to create a one more route table. So let us say this as August 1st private route table. Select the VPC August 1st VPC, give the name as so go to the routes. So this is your private subnet. Now we're not giving in any external network, right? So click on subnets associations, click on edit subnets, go to subnet 2 and subnet 3 associated for this route table. Clear? Now what you are telling here, any traffic which is coming from here from local, it should consider and it should be able to, but external you are not given, right? So what you can do is go go to subnet 1 mission. So you can ping now we are pinging subnet 2 mission 10.1.subnet 2. Similarly, you can try to ping subnet 3.
Yeah, can we do SSH also from there? Not
Yeah,
only ping.
yeah, you can do SSH, but SSH. So what is this IP address is? 10.
10, 1, 200, I think.
Yeah. So can we able to do SSH here? Because we are not having any public key is there, but we are not having any private key here, right? So if you see here from Windows mission, we have our private key here, but in this mission we don't have the private key, right? So what you can do for that is, so first you need to put that private key there.
Actually, this was my question actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So copy this private key. So you create a file here. Let's say demo.pem. So copy this private key. So don't worry about all this. I will tell you during VPC pairing how to do this one. And right quit. Yeah, now your private key is there. Clear. Now try to do SSH -i demo. Sorry, should pass inside. What is the IP address here? Unprotected. Okay, so you need to give permissions, right? chmod for read access to demo. Yeah. Sorry. Clear? So if you see here, it's already changed 10.1.2.100. You have been earlier we were in subnet 1. Now we are to change it into subnet 2.
So the content which you pasted is that PEM file content, is it?
So yeah, it's a PEM file. This is a private key. So you have your private key from SSH. You loaded the PPK file, right? Similarly, in Linux terminal, you need to use this RSA private key.
Okay.
Okay, so don't worry about all this. Let's not jump the gun right now. So after VPC pairing and after a couple of EC2 instance sessions, we'll be able to understand all this.
So my question was actually when you remove this subnet 2 and 3.
Yep.
I thought of I had a doubt like from 1 to we can, because internal connect.
Why? Because see, you are creating organization, right? You don't want to expose your all organization, complete organization to external world, which is vulnerable. So anyone can make attacks, right here. Because this is a lab, I'm trying to show you. So I created and associated with internet. Generally, what people will do, they will associate only one subnet with the external world. Remaining subnets, they will keep it as private. So they will maintain only the private traffic itself. Okay, they will create NAT gateway. So NAT gateway, we have one more class for that. So during NAT gateway, I will tell you how this connection will exactly will happen. Everything will be not through internet gateway. We will use something called NAT gateway. So with NAT gateway, we will be managing this private and public subnets. Okay. So if you go here, so we have seen how to launch EC2 servers. So this is our lab test, right? So we have created two EC2 instances, one in subnet 1 and one is subnet 2. And we have logged in both the missions SSH. Then we have done SSH from mission 1 to mission 2. We have done ping. So let's see how do ping will happen. So ping www. So now whether this from subnet 2, this is the private subnet right now. From this private subnet, can we ping the Google?
No.
Why? Because we have not allowed the private subnet 2 directly to interact with the internet gateway. So you will be not able to do any external communication here. Okay. So if you want to do that, so just go to root tables. Edit subnet associations, try to add subnet 2 here. See, already it's happening, the ping is happening. Clear? So that's all, guys. So what after doing this lab, right, do not forget to terminate your instances, otherwise you will be overbuilt. So before terminating instance, any queries, questions?
Harish, can we assign single subnet to multiple security groups?
Yes, we can assign that. So Vishwant, you have a concept called security groups and network ACLs, right? One second. So security groups and network ACLs.
Okay.
Security group is something on top of EC2 instance. So let me cover that as well. So you have a EC2 mission here. So let me name this as EC2. So just 2 minutes, guys. I'll try to wind up this one. On top of EC2, you are creating security groups. So while creating EC2, you know, right, you are selecting the security groups. So on top of this, you will have your subnets. On top of the subnets, you will have network ACLs. So this is the hierarchy. So EC2 is related something to security group, and security group can be applied to multiple EC2 missions. Let's say you're creating 10 EC2 missions, you can create the security group. Now subnet is something like you are creating EC2 instances under this subnet, right? So if you want to apply the rules, what is security group? Security group is nothing but firewalls, which you want to control the traffic which is coming from external to internal, and traffic which is going from internal to external. That is the security group. So that you can do only on instance level, security group means. But if you want to control the traffic in subnet from external to internal and internal to external, you will use network ACLs. We will have a different topic. That's the reason I have not told this hierarchy diagram till now. Clear?
Thank you, Harish.
Questions before we wind up? So I will upload this video and I will be sharing this lab 3 notes. So in this lab 3, what we need to do, you just create this EC2 missions and test this one. Oh, sorry. So I'll update this one, how to installing SSH and other things, creating the key pairs and all. So, and I will be keeping this lab notes in the same drive link. So refer to the day 3 lab notes. Then you, when you're creating a lab, complete the day 3 before tomorrow's session. Clear?
Okay, Harish.